guys, welcome back to the channel. So in this video I'm just going to talk about a very general question, and if you are someone who's been through this Canada process, or if you're someone who's following my channel, you would have got this question obviously at least once. So the question is it still worth to come to Canada, or is it still worth to move to Canada in 2022? I just wanted to tell you guys my opinion about this, and probably give you guys an idea whether it's actually a good or a bad idea to move to Canada in 2022. So that's going to be this video, and before that, please do like, share, comment on the video, subscribe to the channel. Also, don't forget to press the bell icon so you get updates when I post my videos. So let's not wait, we'll go into the video. So before going into this, I just wanted to say, like, the answer is actually very huge for this question. So I'm just gonna put it into three different scenarios, so that if you fall into any one of these scenarios, like, it would be more relatable to you. So the three scenarios are, like, first one is if you are planning to come here as a student. Second is if you're planning to get a job here directly, and third is if you're planning to apply for a PR here directly. I'll explain whether it's good or bad for each of these scenarios, so that, like, it'll be relatable to you. The first scenario is student. Like, if you're someone who's planning to come here and do a course and study here as a student, and if you don't know whether it's actually worth to come to Canada, I have a straightforward answer for you. It's definitely worth it, because right now, and the point I'm going to tell will go for all three scenarios, but right now Canada has the lowest unemployment rate in history. So that means there are more jobs but there are less people, and this will be the first and almost like the common point between all these three scenarios, because there's no people here to do all the jobs. Basically, Canada is short of people, so they need so much of people to do the jobs here, because there's so much of vacancies. I can literally go on the street and look at the stores. So every store has a pamphlet which says, like, we are hiring, so I can literally see it on, like, every store when I go out. And when it comes to immigration, they're actually catching up to the numbers which was before COVID. Obviously it was a bit lower in 2020 and 2021 because of COVID and, you know, lockdowns and all those things, but Canada has issued 621,000 study permits just in 2021, which the number is really close to 2019, which was the year before COVID. So they're pretty much catching up to what they were doing it before COVID, and the processing and everything is in full swing now. Also last year, because they need more people to start working here, just to help that, they introduced something called TR to PR pathway, so which technically means that if you just graduate from a Canadian institution, you'll be eligible to apply for a PR. You don't need the 1 year work experience. So they introduced something like that last year, and I think around 40,000 people were eligible to apply for PR directly after they graduated last year. And apart from this immigration and all these things, even it's a college perspective, it's a very good exposure if you come here and learn and, you know, graduate and work in a different country. You get to meet lots of people, and the exposure is very, very different compared to studying in your home country. So as a conclusion, I would say it's definitely worth to come as a student to Canada in 2022. So now the second scenario, if you're someone who's trying to get a job directly in Canada, as I said before, the lowest unemployment rate also applies here, obviously. And one other thing is, Canada is having a labor shortage right now, and because of COVID, one good thing happened is we were able to crack this entire work from home situation, and everyone is able to work from their own homes right now. So companies doesn't have to hire people from the same location as their establishment, so they can hire from different provinces, different areas. So even if you're staying in one city in Canada, you'll have the opportunity to apply for jobs in different provinces. You don't have to really physically be there. But again, the disadvantage here might be, and I've already told this point in my previous videos too, if you're trying to find a job here, the entire sponsorship and, you know, a company accepting you as a foreign worker, that is a very complicated process for the company to do. So usually in a normal situation, companies don't prefer to do this, but because there's a labor shortage and every company needs people to work right now, and it's kind of severe right now, I think companies will be willing to do the paperwork for the work permit and LMIA. This is because there is a labor shortage, and none of the PR applications since 2020 have been processed yet. So a good amount of people who were supposed to be here and who were supposed to be starting work here are not here yet. That's the reason for labor shortage, and because of that, companies might be willing to do the paperwork. But again, I'm speculative about this. This is just my guess, because the demand is more. I think companies will be much more open-minded than they were before. Yet I would tell you guys, if you're trying to find a job here directly, I've always never been a fan of, like, finding a job here directly, because it's the most complicated process and it might take the longest time, and there's lots of uncertainty to it. So I always lean towards coming as a student or applying for PR directly. You know, you can just give it a try if that's the thing you want to do, but companies can hire you, they may hire you, they may do the paperwork, but I cannot really comment on that with a sure point. So good luck on that if you can find a job, and if you can find a company who can sponsor you and do the paperwork, then yeah, obviously it's worth to come to Canada. But this is just a complicated process you have to go through, so good luck if you're going to try that. The last scenario, the third scenario, if you're someone who's trying to apply for a PR directly from outside Canada, you are still in a good position, that I can say, because when it comes to applying for PR in Express Entry, there's two major categories where people will apply. One is the Canadian Experience class, and the second is Federal Skilled Worker, so FSW and CEC. So CEC is the one which is for people who are applying from inside Canada, and FSW is for people who are applying from outside Canada. And if you compare both of these, FSW is the one which brings in a lot of people compared to CEC. As I said before, because of COVID, since March 2020, IRCC hasn't processed any PR applications which were submitted from outside Canada. And even for the people who applied from inside Canada, the last draw which was done was in September 2021. So since September 2021, there were no PR issued, and FSW draws have been paused since March 2020, which is like more than 2 years now. I think tens of thousands of people who were supposed to be here are not here yet, and they're still waiting on their call letters. So basically, when it comes to immigration and all these things, every year they set a target saying that they will issue permanent residency to this many people. That has been fulfilled by them every year since till 2019, but then like because of COVID, 2020 and 2021 they didn't meet the targets, which is the major reason of all this labor shortage and all these things. So just to compensate that and catch up to their targets, they have increased their targets like by a lot. For 2022, their target is to give permanent residency to 423,000 people, and they're going to maintain these numbers for the next 3 years, which means 22, 23 and 24 they're going to give around like 450k people each year. So that's going to come to like around 1.2 million people in the next 3 years. They're going to give PR to 1.2 million people in the next 3 years within 2024, which is a good sign. Which is obviously there's a huge backlog of people who's already applied and who are already waiting for this, but even after they give PR to all those people who are waiting, there's still a good amount of number which they have to fulfill to meet their targets. So I think it's very open right now. Probably right now it's still backlogged, and they're planning to open all these draws from July, and they're going to resume all these draws, and they're going to start doing the draws again. So usually for each draw they send out around like 1000 to 1500 invitations. If you see the previous rounds, they have been issuing invitations to like around 6000 people per draw. I think that number will still increase again when they start doing the draws again in July. I think they should be giving around like 6,000 invitations like in every draw. So that's a huge number, and I think one draw happened in January 2021. I think January 2021, and they issued invitations to 21,000 people just in one draw, and the minimum score for that draw was just 75. Just to give an idea, the usual CRS score for each draw comes between like 400 and 450. That's like the usual score, and that particular draw the minimum score was 75. So pretty much they gave PR to everyone who were there. So things like that might happen too, because they just want to meet their target for the year. It's just a pressure from the government because they need people to work here, otherwise the economy is going to go down. And even if I take and see the CRS score for the last draw which happened in September 2021, I think the scores are between like 350 and 400, which is actually lower compared to what it was before COVID started. So I think there's a very high chance if you just get a good amount of points, probably more than 400, I think you just apply for it, you will get it definitely. At this point, I think you just have to wait probably the end of this year, because they need to clear all these backlogs and then resume the process. But I'm pretty sure like they're gonna increase the number of invitations, and they're increasing the number of PR they're going to issue like as a whole. As I said, like 1.2 million people in the next 3 years. Another two reasons for all these things is, one is Canada has a very low birth rate, which means that people who are getting married here, most of the people they're deciding not to have kids. So because of that, the birth rate is really low in Canada. And the second reason is the majority of Canada's population are people who are above 50 years. So people who are like 50 or 45, 50 years old, they're gonna get retired in the next 10 to 15 years. So that point has already started, and it's going to get worse. So Canada is having an aging population. That's what they call it. They don't have a lot of workforce, and that's why all these western countries, they depend on immigrants for building their economy. So it's a huge challenge for the Canadian government to tackle this, and the only way they can tackle this is to bring in more people, because they don't have people here. They need to open up their boundaries a lot. That's the only way they can bring in more people. So I would tell you guys to just use this to your advantage, and use this right timing to just move to Canada, and use the opportunity. So that's pretty much it, guys. Like, so as a whole, I think right now might be a very good time to move to Canada, because I think everything was falling, like, for the last 2 years, 2020 and 2021, and right now we're just turning around. And I think this is a really good point. The growth after this will be really huge, and everything will open up a lot after this. Let it be like any industry. If it falls, the growth which comes after a fall is going to be really huge, and I think we are exactly at the starting point of that growth. So I think it's a really good time to come to Canada. Let it be as a student, as a worker, or as a PR. No matter which scenario you choose, I think it's a very good time to take the decision and do it, so that you don't regret later. So that's pretty much it, guys. I think this video would have given you a good idea about immigration and what is the current situation in Canada. I think I've said my point. I think I've said my opinion. And yeah, that's pretty much it, guys. And if you want any more videos, like, please do comment below, and I'll do it for you guys. And before that, please do like, share, comment on the video, subscribe to the channel, and also don't forget to press the bell icon so I get notified when I post more videos. So that's it for today. I'll see you guys soon with another video. Till then, it's Manish. Bye bye.